Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to learn about the activity lifecycle. So let's start this lecture. Now the question arises, what is the activity lifecycle? So you will get to know about it when you complete the entire lecture. And also it is very important to know about the activity lifecycle methods in order to create a high quality, or you can say that the good quality application. Now so far in our Android application, we saw when we create an activity, in this case, main activity, that extends the app compact activity and has one default method onCreate. So we can say that by default, when we create an activity, we get an onCreate method as a default method. And apart from that, we have bunch of other methods, and these are activity lifecycle methods. So the first method inside the activity lifecycle is the onCreate method, then the second is onStart, the third is onResume, and the fourth method is onPause, and the fifth method is onRestart, and the sixth is onStop, and we have the last method, that is onDestroy. So all these methods are actually part of activity lifecycle and also known as activity lifecycle methods. Now moving forward, let us check out the activity lifecycle and its methods working inside the activity when we launch an application. So this is the home screen, or you can say that the launcher activity. Now suppose we want to launch this application. So when the user taps on the icon of this application, so this simply initiates the creation of the activity, that is main activity.java in our case. So whenever the application starts to open, then which method execute first? So the first method that's executed is called onCreate. So currently inside the main activity, the method that is executed is onCreate. Now inside the onCreate method, we attach layout file and also initialize the views because it's the best method to do this task. Soon after the onCreate method, the next method that's executed is called onStart method. When onStart method executed, the activity, which is main activity.java in our case, is visible to the user, but currently user cannot interact with it. In simple words, we can say that the user can see the application but cannot interact with it. Now soon after onStart method, the next method that executed is called onResume method, and when onResume method executed, the activity will become accessible to the user and user can interact with the application to do its task. Soon after the activity visible to the user, suppose user clicks on the button. Now with the use of explicit intent, it will simply migrate it from main activity to second activity. So in that situation, the question arises, what happened inside the main activity? So inside the main activity, the onPause method is executed and the main activity is now in the pause state. Now we can say that it simply initiates the transaction from main activity to second activity when the user presses the second activity button. When onPause method is executed, along with that, the onCreate method executed inside the second activity. And now the second activity is in the creation phase. Soon after the onCreate method, the next method that executed inside the second activity is onStart method. So when onStart method executed, which means the activity is visible to the user but user cannot interact with it. And soon after the onStart method, the next method that is executed is onResume method. Now with the execution of the onResume method, the activity is now completely accessible to the user, that is second activity. Now user can interact with it. Soon after onResume method executed, along with that onStop method executed inside the main activity. Now the main activity currently in the stop state, which means the main activity is now in the background and not visible to the user. So it means the only screen that is visible to the user, or you can say the user can see, is the second activity. Now moving forward, what happens if the user press the back button? in case of second activity. So in that situation, the onPause method executed inside the second activity. So the second activity is now in the pause state, which means the user can see the activity but cannot interact with it. Now soon after the onPause method executed, the onRestart method is executed in case of main activity. So the main activity is now in the restart state. So the onRestart method does what? It again restarts the cycle from the onStart method. Now the main activity again in the creation phase. So with the execution of the start method, the activity visible to the user, but the user can't interact with it. And also one important thing that need to be noticed here is after onRestart method, the execution of the next method is initiated from the onStart method. The onCreate method is not executed again. So that's why we initialize all of our views, variables, widgets, and necessary constants inside the onCreate method, so that our view and variable and widgets does not become null. Our activity, which is a main activity, is in the start phase, and after onStart method, the next method that executed is onResume method, which makes the activity accessible to the user, in which user can interact. Now before that, within a fraction of time, onStop method is executed along with onDestroy method, which result the second activity completely destroyed. That simply means the user cannot interact or see the second activity, and the only activity that's visible to the user is main activity. So it means the second activity completely over. Means the story of second activity is completely finished. Now, in case of main activity, what happens when the user press the back button? Then the onPause method is executed inside the main activity, which means the main activity now in the pause state, and after onPause, the onStop method is executed inside the main activity. Now the main activity is in the stop state, and also activity is completely in the background. So in stop state, the activity is not visible to the user, means the user cannot interact with it. Soon after the onStop method, the onDestroy method is executed, which completely destroys the main activity, and the activity shuts down. So this is how the things going on when you launch an application or go to the second activity and then switch back to first activity. Now as a beginner, this concept's little difficult to understand as for the first time watch. So you need to watch this video maybe 5 to 6 times, then the concepts will become clear to you. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.